Tonight on the MTN News, priorities surrounding property taxes.
I think at the end of the day, I think we have a nice compromise.
Lawmakers tackle a major issue as the finish line comes into focus. Plus, the first 100 days.
Take these executive orders and make it so that we do codify that in statute, so that does have lasting implications.
Montana's new congressman gives a glimpse into his new life as he settles into the nation's capital. And injustice within the justice system.
I was hoping she'd have a lot more life left her, and it was cut short because of one stupid kid.
One Laurel family shocked and saddened just months after believing they received some closure. The MTN 10 o'clock news starts right now.
From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 10 o'clock news.
Good evening and thanks for joining us on this Tuesday night. I'm Russ Riesinger. The 2025 legislative session is in the home stretch, and lawmakers are still working on one of the major issues of the session, that being property tax reform, which Montana Governor Greg Gianforte has tabbed as a top priority. Tonight, MTN's Jonathan Ambarian has the latest on the bill and what a finished product could look like.
Senate Bill 542 and House Bill 231 each went to a conference committee on Tuesday morning. The first bill was unchanged, but the second was significantly amended, essentially turning it into coordinating legislation for the first bill.
I think at the end of the day, I think we have a nice compromise.
SB 542 establishes homestead tax rates to benefit Montanans' primary residences, long-term rentals, and small commercial properties. HB 231 had a similar system, but the committee added an amendment that invalidates most of it if both bills pass. Instead, it would make adjustments to SB 542, simplifying tax rates in the first year to make it easier for the state to implement. These bills took criticism from a series of business and agricultural groups who said they weren't really offering tax relief, just shifting the tax burden onto companies, farms, and ranches.
These bills today are adding complexity to an already incredibly complex system and adding cost to investment in the state of Montana.
But lawmakers backing the plan said many of the companies affected by this bill benefited from lower taxes this year, and that the changes would only rebalance the burden residential properties have experienced due to spiking property values.
We're going to have to recognize that in this state where the residential shift has been so enormous, both relative and real, that something has to be done.
The committee sent the bills back to the House and Senate for approval. On Tuesday afternoon, the Senate narrowly endorsed both. Those opposing the tax proposals echoed the concerns about the impacts on business and questioned whether the late amendments had followed the correct process.
I'm fine if we just kill this thing and kill 542 and come back in a special session. We need to get it right, and we're not getting this right.
Supporters said the property tax plan is not a perfect solution, but it's worth moving forward for the impact it's going to have for residents.
I understand the no votes in some areas. There are legitimate concerns. There are legitimate no votes. But there is a lot of people in this state where this bill does well for them. And that's why I've came around to support it.
Property tax bills, along with the main state budget bill, are some of the last major pieces that lawmakers need to finalize before ending their session. In Helena, Jonathan Ambarian, MTN News.
President Trump marked an important milestone. It's been 100 days since he was sworn in for a second term. He celebrated with a rally tonight in Michigan and new announcements about tariffs. Erica Brown has more.
And we're here tonight in the heartland of our nation to celebrate the most successful first 100 days of any administration in the history of our country.
President Trump marked the 100th day of his second term with a trip to Michigan, home of the U.S. auto industry, as the White House announces it's easing some tariffs on U.S. automakers.
They all want to come back to Michigan and build cars again. You know why? Because of our tax and tariff policy.
The 25% tariff on imported vehicles and auto parts will remain, but automakers won't be subject to the additional tariffs on imported steel and aluminum, and automakers could be eligible for offsets for cars finished in America.
Some economists say President Trump's rollback will give U.S. automakers some relief, but the remaining tariffs will still lead to higher prices for consumers and a drop in auto sales.
Nationally, the economy remains a top concern for consumers. A new CBS News poll found 53% of those surveyed believe the economy is getting worse under President Trump. And most of those polled say the president is focusing too little on lowering prices and too much on tariffs.
Trump's reckless tariffs are going to make high price of groceries, gas, housing, utilities, clothing, electronics, and other essential goods even worse.
Also Tuesday, President Trump announced a series of new fighter jets for Selfridge Air National Guard Base in Michigan.
This will keep Selfridge at the cutting edge of Northern American air power.
The president credited Michigan's Democratic Governor Gretchen Whitmer's recent visit to the White House for helping to secure the air base's future. Erica Brown, CBS News, the White House.
From tariffs to budget cuts to a crackdown on immigration and numerous executive orders, the first 100 days have certainly been busy at the White House. But tonight, instead of looking back, we have our eyes on the future, asking those around Billings what they want the next 100 days to look like.
Back off the tariffs. I'm in construction, and you're killing construction.
It'd be nice if you could reinstate all the funds that he cut for all the really essential services that we have.
Stop the war in Ukraine. I think that'd be number one. You know, they're on the brink of World War III. Find a deal, ceasefire, whatever.
The biggest thing is just to lower costs for like rent and groceries and just for everything because it's so high right now.
Well, it is also the first 100 days for Montana first-term Congressman Troy Downing. MTN's David J. had the chance to sit down with the lawmaker, learning about his experience so far in Washington and how he believes the president is doing during his second term in office.
There's some folks that are just unhappy with the administration and they're looking for somebody to complain about.
Congressman Troy Downing has talked about the reciprocal tariffs that could be put on some countries' goods.
Really where I think it comes down to is the art of the deal.
He agrees with the president's use of tariffs to try to level the playing field on trade imbalances, and he says despite the response and the up and down of the stock market, he's not worried about the economy.
These are always long-term investments. And in terms of equities markets, time cures all. And short-term volatility, I don't think, is indicative of a problem because we have a strong and resilient market and always have.
Downing praised the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, and the $160 billion of cuts that Elon Musk has recommended.
Take the political, emotional part out of it. I think that they would all agree that we can't be spending money on fraudulent activity, that we can't be wasting it.
Congressman Downing is a former state auditor in Montana. He's been assigned to two committees, financial services and small businesses. He says Congress needs to ask two questions when allocating money.
The first question, is it in the interest of the United States of America? And the second thing is are we being stewards of taxpayer money? And if you can't answer both of those in the positive, why are we spending the money?
Representative Downing recently visited Phillips 66 and says Congress needs to put some of the president's executive orders into statute, including energy.
If you don't have affordable and you don't have reliable energy, that affects everybody. I see energy policy being energy dominant. I see that as a national security issue.
Downing was criticized for not attending a town hall hosted by Indivisible last month, but he says he has hosted 2 teletown halls with a total of about 13,000 people, and he's been out in public visiting with businesses.
We've been a very, very responsive office.
Downing believes the big issues for America deal with national security, which he says includes immigration, taxes, energy production, and agriculture.
What the president is doing, he's moving very quickly. I personally like that because I think as a nation we were on the precipice.
And he believes President Trump is going about it the right way.
We needed to have some bold movement because we've got all these issues that really affect that bottom line, that ability to build that American dream.
In Billings, David J., MTN News.
We've had areas of rain moving in since overnight. That started off around Kalispell, 0.4 of an inch there. Those showers moving through, a couple of hundredths of Bozeman, 1/10 of an inch for you in Livingston and Billings, almost double that at 1900s here as of just a few minutes ago when this number updated. So regionally, we've still got the rain showers moving through, but notice those bands of rain now moving in for you in Miles City. We've been watching your webcam and then bringing some snow down into the mountain foothills. If we zoom down a little bit, here's where the rain's been moving through Yellowstone County with some bands of heavier rain This could even result in a few isolated thunderstorms for tomorrow and a few more showers. We'll talk about that and the warm-up to follow. The complete forecast a few minutes from now.
A teenager convicted of deliberate homicide by accountability for the shooting death of a Rocky football player has now been sentenced to 60 years at the Montana State Prison. That sentence handed down to 18-year-old Garrett Dorr III for his role in that October 2023 homicide. Chandler Stelcup, a Rocky football player, was picking up a friend from a late-night house party when he was shot while driving away. Dorr was driving a separate vehicle from Stelcup when his passenger, teenager Sidney Cruz DeCrane Jr., allegedly opened fire on Stelcup, who was struck once in the head. Police said at the time of the shooting that it was not gang-related, but that the two charged in the killing did have gang ties. Stelcup did not know the suspects and was not at the party, but was called by a friend to pick him up after a fight broke out. DeCrane is being charged as an adult as well. Tonight, a Laurel mother who lost her daughter in a deadly crash 4 years ago is upset and angry with the justice system. In December, the driver of that vehicle, Peyton Hunter, was sentenced to 5 years with the Montana Department of Corrections. That allowed the family of Lexi Pyle to breathe a sigh of relief, or so they thought. As our Hannah Pettiferi found out, they say that was very short-lived, as Hunter is back in the community.
Lexi was a young, vibrant girl about ready to start nursing school.
Lexi Pyle was a passenger of the pickup truck that was involved in a two-car crash near downtown Billings that took her life in August of 2021.
In a matter of 8 seconds, he took my entire life from me.
According to police records, the driver, Peyton Hunter, was speeding while heading west on 1st Avenue North and had previously run a red light. Peyton later admitted to the police that he had been drinking before the crash.
Had to give me the news that she was killed in a car accident and didn't make it.
It took over 3 years for this case to go to court, and Peyton was sentenced to a 5-year commitment to the Montana Department of Corrections.
It just wasn't what we expected.
The department determined that Peyton should be placed in a pre-release center, considering all related factors. Melissa says she got a call last Monday, just 4 months after the sentencing, saying he got a job and is going to be out in the community.
How is that possible? How is that legal? So we ask and we don't get answers. It's up to the Department of Corrections now at this point.
It may not be what she expected, but according to the courts, it's how the justice system is set up, and that has left her very frustrated.
I'm just supposed to let go, and it makes me feel like my daughter's life didn't mean anything.
Despite her sadness and anger, Melissa is moving forward with the decision to continue to honor Lexi's legacy through the Love for Lexi Foundation.
She was an amazing little girl and the light of everybody's life.
The foundation gives out nursing scholarships to those who plan to attend nursing school.
She was going to follow in my footsteps and go to nursing school in the fall and didn't get to do that.
In addition to scholarships, the foundation does other types of charity work for the community, as her mother says, to keep her name alive. In Billings, Hannah Pettiferi, MTN News.